What's up, Effort True followers, wrestling fans, and members of the YWC? I'm JC Styles here with the Effort brand of wrestling and entertainment here on YouTube.com with the WWE CM Punk Best in the World DVD review. Now, I just got done watching this, and I have to say this is a 5-star documentary. I haven't watched a documentary like this since the Randy Orton one that released last year, and it really gave a really good insight of CM Punk and where he came from growing up, and just gave us a really in-depth look at his career and his life, from high school all the way to where he is now in his WWE career. I have to say, like I said, I've watched many documentaries over the last several years. The Shawn Michaels, My Journey, the Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreaking Triumph of Shawn Michaels, the Apex Predator, the You Think You Know Me, the Edge DVD that came out last year. Now this one, I probably have to say this is probably my top 5 in my top 5 favorite documentaries. This was a really good DVD, and I have to say, if you guys are interested in, you want to know more about CM Punk's life and his career and all of his aspects of wrestling, go and check this out. It was definitely a great buy. I think it was a great DVD, a great documentary, I should say. I haven't got to see disc 2 or 3 or 4 yet. And I think it's really good. It starts off when he's in high school. They talk about growing up and his father being an alcoholic, and how that wasn't a storyline. That's actually real fact. He talks about how he never wants to do that. It's not fun drinking and getting drunk and getting high and doing drugs, and how that affected him. He also talked about how his brother was given everything, and he sat back and just watched his brother take his mother and father for a ride and taking all the money and going to college and dropping out and sucking up all the resources. He then talks about how he removed himself from that element and moved in with his friends, family, and how they adopted him, and that how growing up with them, and how that the tattoo of the 31 you see on the back of his head, and all the different stars you see, is a member of that family that adopted him in the 31, because I believe they grew up in New Jersey. And it was just a really good DVD. They talk about his career with backyard wrestling, and how it led into getting into wrestling, and how him and Justin Roberts actually met up at a indie show way, way, way before they got to the WWE, and how they used to go and they used to heckle the fans, and just really try to get more people to go to his little show that he was doing, and how he was getting 200 to 300 people, and how actual professional indies were only getting 30 to 50. He goes on and he talks about his matches, and how the matches that he had, and the promos, and how he took everything, and basically every time he got on the mic and he was cutting a promo, that was him. It wasn't something that he was scripted to say. 90% of the time when he would have a mic, it would be his own words. The other 10% of the time would be pre-written stuff. And he said that Michael Hayes actually said in this DVD that on numerous occasions he has had CM Punk rip up a script right in front of him and say, "I'm going to do it the way I want to do it." Talks about how in ROH, how he had some of the greatest matches in his career down with ROH with guys like Samoa Joe and Chris Hero. Also he had matches in his indie career with Eddie Guerrero and Raven, and it was pretty cool to see that, because to see those guys, Raven and Eddie especially, because they were so mainstream in the WWE when Punk was coming up. I actually believe when Punk came up to the WWE in, I believe it was 05 or maybe early 06, Eddie had already passed away. And it was just a really great thing to see. You got to see his matches with Samoa Joe and Chris Hero. You got to see video packages, and it was really cool that WWE was able to go and get some of this footage, because I think it made the DVD so much more personal, because they went back and they were able to explain a lot of the stuff. You see him; he walks into the Ring of Honor training area, and he's sitting on the ring apron, and he's talking to the camera and explaining everything that was going on, telling his story. You know, he goes from there. He talks about the summer of Punk, how he was getting ready. He was signing the contract with the WWE, but it wasn't for several months later because WWE was going to to allow him to finish up his prior commitments with ROH. And then, you know, ROH did the storyline the whole summer of Punk, and by the time they ended towards that end of this, when he signed his WWE contract on the ROH belt, he had his very last match in ROH against Colt Cabana, and how he felt that he was so nervous and so scared that he wouldn't be taken as a serious competitor because of his size, that he was going out and he was running around and he was getting bulked up and built up more, and he was, you know, saying, "Cool, I gotta help, I gotta get beefy, I gotta get beefy." You know, these guys, WWE cares about the big guys and with the big muscle guys. And by the time he made his debut in WWE, he was bigger than he was when he was in the independent scene. They talked about his stint down in OVW, where he really, really hated being there when he first started, but he had to make the best of it. And by the time he left and he was getting ready to get called up to the WWE, you know, he was ready, he was happy, he was excited. You know, they talked about how no one wanted to give him a chance. WWE's current plans were to, you know, have him, you know, do his thing over on OVW and then, you know, flick him away and let him go. But they didn't. You know, Paul Heyman really fought to get him on the active roster in the WWE. By the time Paul Heyman took control of ECW on Sci-Fi, the series premiere, they had CM Punk on there, and you know Paul Heyman was gone only a couple of months after that, and it was just a really good, you know, good documentary. There's a lot of history in this. You know, Cole Cabana made an appearance, Chris Hero made an appearance, talking about CM Punk and numerous others. Lars from the band Rancid was also part of this DVD as well, and it was just really cool. You know, CM Punk talked about how growing up in high school, how he was kind of like the nerdy kid. He wore comic book shirts. He read comics. You know, he played the video games and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see that they went in depth with this, and they didn't just do like an hour doc. This was actually an hour and 50 minutes, and it was just really good. Lita made an appearance. Him and Lita have a tattoo, similar tattoo, the same tattoo, I should say. You know, he talks about his tattoos and how people that he really likes and that are his friends, he has a tattoo of something that they have, or they have a tattoo of him of what he has on his body. You know, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he pointed to the heart on his tattoos. You know, and he was just, you know, it was really insightful. Joseph Mercury, or Joey Mercury, for those of you who know him as the bald straight edge member. You know, he came back. Actually, a little tidbit: it was when Joey Mercury left the WWE the first time after the whole M&M tag team broke up, and Johnny Nitro went on to do his solo career. When he went to go do his solo career, and then Joey Mercury kind of died down and left, that was because of drug and alcohol. He was rooming with Punk, traveling with Punk, and you know he told him, he was like, look, you gotta get help, but you gotta do it for you. And WWE let him go. And about a year and a half later, he started getting really better and started getting really, 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 really better. You know, getting sober and everything like that. And then Joey Mercury was going to lose his house, and CM Punk went out and, you know, because they were such good friends, wrote him a check, bought his house so he didn't lose it, and he had a place to live. And I thought that was really humble of CM Punk there. Uh, they talked about the feud that he had with Jeff Hardy over the World Heavyweight Championship, and how Vince had a challenge for him and, you know, wanted him to play the heel. And CM Punk kind of like threw it back in his face. He was like, well, what's the challenge? Because, you know, we all know Vince doesn't really, you know, go and, you know, watch independent stuff. You know, Vince doesn't really care because he has people to do that for him. And when, you know, he kept telling Vince, well, what's the challenge? Vince was looking at the guy who was sitting down with him. He was like, is he fucking with me right now? Excuse my language. But he talked about that, you know, how he felt that when he won the ECW championship, that he felt that he didn't know how long it was going to last because no one really wanted him there. He didn't really have that sculpture that Vince was looking for in wrestling or in wrestlers. He didn't fit the bill, you know, and it was just really unique because, you know, it's true, you know. I mean, sometimes Vince doesn't know what makes a professional wrestler in this decade. He's got people doing it for him, and everything was going on. The documentary ended when uh, the documentary ends not too long after the Money in the Bank incident, and how he was actually going to leave, but Vince and him were negotiating up at the day of Money in the Bank. They were negotiating in a contract, but regardless if he signed or not, he was out the door until they negotiated. And then they did the whole WWE Summer of Punk angle. It was just a really good put together DVD and documentary. If you guys were looking to pick this up, I would definitely recommend it to you. It was really good. There was just so much stuff to talk about in this DVD, this documentary, that I don't want to spoil too much. Even though I've already told you a lot of the DVD, I probably have to say this is a 5-star DVD. It's probably going to definitely go in my top 5 documentaries of WWE. I know there's a lot of them. But guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sitting through this whole 11-minute video. Like always, please check out all the channels that make up the Ephraim brand of wrestling and entertainment. Check out the official website of the Ephraim brand at FightNationWrestling.com. And like always, I'm JC Styles. Thanks for tuning in and have a great night.